Hi everyone, my name is Yuan, founder and CEO of Daily Surprises Media, a lead generation for coaches and service providers that have generated over 100 client wins just last year alone. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you why focusing on Instagram Reels is not necessarily the right focus and can actually hurt your business if getting client is your number one priority. This is not just my opinion. I'm actually going to show you some screenshots of my client data insight to show you that I have data to back this up, that you can actually get clients without Reels at all. Not only that, we're going to talk about what do you actually need to focus on in order to get clients into your business, the core parts, the right focus for you if getting clients on Instagram organically is your focus right now. And definitely stay to the end because I have a free resource that share with you the exact framework all my clients and I use consistently in order to get clients from Instagram organically and consistently. Without further ado, let's dive right in. So the first thing a lot of people can overlook is the fact that Instagram Reels is just a content vehicle. It's just a content format. So what I mean by that is, on Instagram, you've got stories, you've got IGTV, you've got Reels, all different ways you can present your content in, right? And when you think about wider than Instagram, there is people who prefer to consume content through audio format, like podcasts, people who prefer to consume content through YouTube videos like what we're doing right now. And there are people who prefer to consume content just through reading, like blog posts and books and stuff like that, right? So there are different ways you can deliver your content in, and that's the bit that matters. When you think about it, Reels is a very short video, so it's very unlikely, doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's very hard for you to be able to establish yourself as authority, build trust, and sell all in a very short video, right? So what normally converts people is when they get intrigued through your video and they consume your caption, and that's when people convert. And that's the first thing I always tell any of the new clients coming in. The first bit we need to work on is really that content that actually converts. What I mean by that is right now, right? You have the captions and you always have call to actions, things like clicking link in my bio in order to get a freebie or an opt-in, or say DM me a certain word in order to get a free discovery call, stuff like that. If no one has ever taken up your offer, that means your content is currently not converting. Right. So although we're saying Reels algorithm is quite loose right now, which is true, and we're talking about, let me double check, 19th of January when I'm filming this, 2022, it may change later, right? So right now, Reels algorithm is quite loose so that you're more likely to get your content in front of more people. But the challenge is that if your content currently converting at 0%, as in if I present your content in front of 10 people, your conversion rate is 0%. Even if Reel can push your content to 1,000 people, your conversion rate is still going to be 0%. You're still going to get 0 client at the end of it. So that's why I'm saying focusing on Reel is not the right thing if getting clients is your top priority when your content is not even converting, right? And what I found quite interesting is a lot of times when I jump on the discovery call, a lot of people, they're focused like, okay, can you just teach me how can I create viral reel? And what I love to do is always to take that example to extreme, right? Because we always know that reel tends to do better when the content is kind of entertaining. That's what on Reels on TikTok is doing really, really well right now. So if you really want to go a bit extreme, I'm not saying you should, but let's go to extreme, that potentially posting a cat video would get you a lot of likes and loves and engagement, and that reel potentially can go viral, right? But are you attracting the right eyeballs? If you're a graphic designer, let's say that you post a cat video reel out there and that becomes super viral, and for whatever reason, people didn't go back and check your profile for that reel alone, they decided they want to follow you because they like that real content. Are you attracting the right eyeballs, right? So those are cat lovers, but are they going to become your client? Is it easy to convert them? So that kind of just shows you, right? Like getting viral reel is not really the point here. It's more around how can we leverage reel to attract the right eyeballs, and how can we have strong captions to really convert people. So what I'm sharing with you right now is an Instagram post. You can see I did that October last year, and there are 2 screenshots from 2 different clients. So the client on the left, you can see that her top reach is post, and at that point in time, she has never ever posted a reel on her profile. And if you look at my client result highlight, you can see that she actually landed, also mentioned here, she in the 2 weeks she worked with us, she actually landed 2 high ticket clients already. Whereas the clients on the right, you can see her main focus is leveraging reels, and reel, the algorithm is loose, right? That's the whole reason why that she is reaching a lot of non-followers. But I'm just showing you that getting clients, the only way there is not just reels, right? So what we talked about before already, what matters at this point in time, obviously there's more things you want to focus on, which we're going to go into, but for now you need to remember your caption, which is this part, if that's not converting right now, focusing on reel is not really the right focus right now. And creating a viral reel out there, if they're not attracting your ideal clients, it's not really serving the purpose, right? So how do we do that? Like, what should we focus on then? Before we dive into that good part, I'm going to share my screen in a second as well. But what I really want to mention is, because this video obviously is going to be fairly short, it doesn't give me enough time to explain everything in detail. I do have a free resource that's a 90 minutes masterclass. It's going to be in the description, where I walk you through the exact framework that all my clients and I use to get consistent client on Instagram organically without ads. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely go there and check it out and just register, and you will be able to direct to the masterclass. But in the meantime, let's go back to some kind of high level areas, what you're really need to focus on, right? So this applies for everyone. What I mean by that is, it doesn't really matter that you are a service provider or you're selling a product. And it doesn't really matter if you are doing organically or using ads. And it doesn't really matter you are using a super simple funnel or a funnel that like taking, I don't know, 1,000 steps. It all shrink into these 3 things, right? So the first layer of that is to get the right eyeballs on your kind of website or platform. So right, that can be your Instagram, can be your website, can be your Facebook, whatever that place is, your landing page, where you can nurture people and trying to sell, right? The first layer is to get consistent eyeballs. So that can be a bunch of things. You can do ads through it. If you do organically, you can do engagement. And I know that there are some people out there doing cold reach. So there are many, many different ways, but you need to making sure that the first layer, you have a way of bringing those eyeballs consistently and target eyeballs. How that translated into Instagram data insight is they call that impressions. And the next layer down after that is basically followers, right? So that's the language on Instagram. Obviously, if that's you into your email kind of realm, you would call that subscribers. You would call it quite different things depending on where you want to lead them to in order to do your nurture and sale process. But in order to convert the eyeballs into followers, in the case of Instagram, obviously you need to have a very strong foundation. So what I mean by that is you have bio that really, really juicy and have things inside to really get people into your funnel. You have really strong content that is binge worthy. So you have a lot of clicking point and you have story there already that really pique people's interest, right? So you have multiple pieces there to really help people then move from the eyeballs, the hard work earned eyeballs into your followers. So that's the next step, right? But obviously once you get followers, it's not the end yet because they are not clients. So you need to have a very strong sales system in the back end in order to convert them into clients. It sounds complicated, right? Sales system, but it's actually quite simple. So what I mean by that, again, it depending on which platform you're on, which funnel you push people into. If that's email, then obviously that's nurturing and you're pitching. If it's just Instagram alone, obviously it's building relationships and to kind of validate that they are actually pre-qualified, because you are not going to pitch to everyone, right? Not everyone is the right people for your service or your product. And that is okay because we have so many amazing human beings on this planet. You got to find someone that you can support and make a big impact on. So you want to making sure you pre-qualify them and obviously let them know that how you can support them. And that's how they can then convert from followers into clients. So that's it. All you need to do is to focus on these 3 layers, a way to bring in constant eyeballs, a strong foundation to convert those eyeballs into your followers, and a very strong sales system to convert those followers into clients. That's all you need to focus on if getting client is your #1 priority when it comes to your Instagram, using Instagram for your business. As I mentioned before, if you really want to get more deep dive into how do I do that, some examples of content actually convert, making sure that you go to description and check out my 90 minutes free masterclass, where I walk you through the exact framework on my clients and I use in order to get clients consistently on Instagram organically. Now, at this point, you have learned why focusing on Reel is not necessarily the right thing if your content is not converting. You've also learned that why focusing on creating viral Reels doesn't not only not helping your business, right? It can potentially track the wrong eyeballs as well, which makes algorithms not going to be on your site later on because they are here for a different reason. You also learned what exactly you need to focus on in order to get client organically and consistently on Instagram. While you're waiting for next week's video, I do loads of videos. So for example, I already have videos on the exact questions, the templates we use to get killer testimonials. I also shared the exact content I helped my client draft in order to explode her DM overnight with queries to her service. If you're interested in that, making sure to go to my Instagram in the IGTV section. There's tons of resources there. Thanks for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.